Imagine this. You are standing at the edge of a crowded room, watching as a man, charismatic, smiling, draws everyone toward him like a gravitational force. Across from him, another figure slumps in shadow, his presence a slow drain on the energy of those near him. You feel it instinctively. One radiates power, the other consumes it. Now, the question claws at your mind. Which one are you unknowingly becoming? Friedrich Nietzsche warned of the contagion of the soul, the silent erosion of your will by those who carry despair like a virus. Why do we tolerate the unhappy, the perpetually unlucky, as if their suffering demands our allegiance? Is it kindness or weakness? Law 10 of the 48 laws of power is not cruelty. It is survival. Misery does not love company. It demands it. And the deeper truth? You are always choosing to be infected or to remain untouchable. But how did this trap begin? Let's peel back the layers. You tell yourself you're being kind, noble, that carrying the weight of another's despair makes you virtuous. But Nietzsche saw the lie beneath the martyr's mask. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that he does not become a monster. The unhappy do not seek solutions. They seek accomplices. And like a slow poison, their resignation seeps into your psyche, rewiring your instincts toward helplessness. Carl Jung called it the shadow seduction, the unconscious pull toward those who mirror our own buried fears. Misery is magnetic because it whispers a permissive lie. You too can stop fighting. Schopenhauer knew this well. The will to live can be corroded not by tragedy, but by proximity to those who've already surrendered. Society calls this compassion, but true power recognizes the danger. Yet the greatest trap remains unseen. What happens when you mistake pity for strength and infection for connection? The answer lies in the wreckage of those who never noticed the chains until they were too heavy to break. Day by day, the change is imperceptible. A sigh here, a resigned joke there. Then one morning, you wake to find your ambitions dulled, your instincts muted, as if the color has bled from your world. This is the insidious power of Law 10. Unhappiness propagates itself. Cognitive science confirms it. Negativity bias wires us to absorb the emotional tone of our environment, like a sponge. The unlucky do not merely share their misfortune. They replicate it in you. History whispers warnings. The courtier who lingered near the fallen favorite, only to find himself exiled. The entrepreneur who partnered with the chronic pessimist and watched opportunities wither. Like a neurological hijacking, despair rewires risk assessment. You begin to see obstacles where there are only openings. But here's the cruelest twist. You'll blame yourself for the stagnation, never realizing it was never yours to begin with. The clock is ticking. How much vitality will you lose before you recognize the source? The escape demands something radical, not just action, but a dismantling of the very idea of loyalty to those who thrive on defeat. The first act of defiance is not cruelty, it is clarity. Nietzsche's great health begins with a ruthless audit. Who speaks in solutions and who traffics in excuses? The Roman Stoics practiced discrimin, the art of strategic distancing. Not every sinking ship requires your presence. Some demand your absence to prove they can still float. History's most powerful figures mastered this calculus. Lorenzo de' Medici exiled the conspirators, not out of vengeance, but to preserve Florence's vitality. Queen Elizabeth I banished the melancholy Earl of Essex before his despair could infect her court. These were not acts of heartlessness, but of metaphysical self-defense. The modern rebellion is subtler. A phone call unanswered, an invitation unextended, a boundary silently drawn. Power flows to those who protect their ecosystem. Ask yourself, are you a gardener nurturing growth, or a medic stitching wounds in a war that never ends? The final step is the most dangerous, because it requires you to betray the oldest lie of all, that suffering is sacred. Here is the silent earthquake. no one deserves your ruin. Not the friend who clings to victimhood, not the family member who weaponizes guilt, not the lover whose darkness you mistake for depth. Law 10 is deepest revelation. Compassion without discernment is self-annihilation. Nietzsche's Bermensch does not flee suffering. He transcends the cult of suffering. Viktor Frankl survived Auschwitz by recognizing this. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms to choose one's attitude. The unlucky forfeit this choice. The powerful guard it fanatically. You stand now at the edge of two futures, one where you drown slowly in borrowed despair, another where you walk unshackled, not away from others, but toward the self you owe this single, furious life. The question is no longer, how do I save them? But what will you do with the energy they no longer get to steal? The answer scares you. That's how you know it's true.